Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and today we're going to do a rapid review. Patrick, do you want to tell what a rapid review is?
A rapid review is me and Paul speaking quite quickly about a movie that you will either have overlooked and missed along the way, or maybe seen and forgotten. All we're really trying to do is bring back some of those old hidden gems that may not be the best movies of all time, but they're definitely things that are worth your consideration.
This movie that we're trying to get you to watch is Explorers, which is this cute 1985 movie, which is about three young kids. Ben, who is the dreamer, who has a vivid dream of technologies which allows him and his buddy Wolfgang to create a small bubble device that allows them to travel space, and which was really nice. And with new friend Darren, they're able to explore outer space together and bringing those dreams and wonders to life together. So it's a pretty cool film. Nice, charming plot. Great characters, which is really fun. So
1985 kids adventure a la E.T. Awesomeness abound. It is a wonderfully happy and hopeful film in so many different ways. But Paul, we'd be burying the lead if we didn't point out it's weird that people have overlooked this movie because it had Ethan Hawke in his first role ever. Ethan Hawke, you've all heard of him. Well, you may also have heard of River Phoenix, because River Phoenix ended up being one of the most famous people in the second half of the 80s into the 90s. And this was him on the ascendancy. Also, movie was directed by Joe Dante in 1985, who was coming off the back of 1984's Gremlins. Ever heard of it? You can see a pattern here. This movie had so many things going for it, and we'll come back at the end as to why it flopped. We'll talk about the movie first. It was a flop, and you've all missed it for a bunch of interesting reasons. We can come back to that. But there's an awful lot of good stuff here. Okay, we are also, full disclosure, going to have to cover the fact that this is far from the perfect movie. Yeah. It's 2/3 of a great movie and 1/3 that's a bit rubbish. But it's charming as all hell in a very sweet 80s way, Paul.
it is very much so. The three main characters, which is all played by young, which is versions of Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix. The third kid in the middle, Jason, which is played by Jason Person. He is not as well known. You also found out that he was in Gremlins 2 as a side character.
Yeah, a little cameo or something. Yeah.
Which was an interesting kind of thing. So this definitely launched a few careers, but sadly not a third one. But yeah, no, it's a charming-esque film of exploring and creation of a small, lovely, I have to say, very nice, little ship. Yeah, the Thunder Road, which is a very excellent
Great name. Great name. And Paul, it's got that charm of the kids are having an adventure together. Adults don't really come into it. It's that kind of magical belief that, me and you when we were kids, and I saw this in like 87 or whatever, and I was about the right age to consider myself to be peers with the kids. I was a little bit younger than them maybe, or about their age. Me and you, out the back, finding rubbish in, somewhere, finding a bit of old scrap wood, a bit of an old washing machine, turning things into the days of building tree forts and trying to. I'm from the country. We were putting stuff together. Anytime we found rubbish, we turned it into a pretend airplane or pretend spaceship. Well, these kids did that, except they also happened to have had a dream sent to them that enabled them to create technology, so their pretend ship could actually fly.
Yeah, that's the weird. Cool. Yeah, it's the interesting kind of twist of this adventure is that their imagination and dreams are actually, bringing them closer to actually exploring and following their dreams.
Through science, not magic.
Yeah,
I should get in there too.
Yeah. So which is weird because Wolfgang, River Phoenix's character, does mention a lot of things that are actually more like he talks about inertia and certain laws of physics and stuff like that, which is just amazing. Nice thing. They don't like to dumb down a lot of things, which was a great feeling. There are several subplots in this film that do not get tied off. This is the bad side of the third act kind of thing. Um, there's essentially a subplot of someone not following their dreams and getting to see someone else do it. There is a love interest subplot as well. That kind of get rung through they get like fired through the third act, and then like landed like a plane that's barely has any like wings or wheels or anything like that. Um, why is that, Patrick? Why was the third act such a mess?
Well, why the whole film was a cohesive unit is it's very simple. Originally, it was going to be directed by Wolfgang Peterson
Yeah,
of Neverending Story fame, but it actually went to Joe Dante then. Unfortunately, the studio got it in their heads that they had to rush this movie out, that they wanted to do this all in a hurry. So filming and creation was all done in a hurry, but really, from what Joe Dante says, the director, the studio just took the film off him before it was finished being edited together properly at all, because they wanted to rush it out and get it out there and make some money. Um, and that really definitely hurt the quality of the movie, Paul. Like it,
yeah,
I love this movie, and you've been kind enough to say we should do this because I've mentioned Explorers being, I love this movie when I was a kid. Well, I'm not going to defend it, saying it isn't a train wreck by the end of it. It's just that it's such a happy, wonderful movie up until the point that it loses the run of itself.
yeah. No, definitely. I was watching this film. I was going through it, and when it got to a certain point, I was just like, "Where are we going with this?" And then it continued on through this kind of maze of weirdness. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know that it was going to turn into this kind of film. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things where it's just like, it's not, and I will say this, it's not a spoiler, it's not true, but it very much kind of goes to the next of this was all a dream kind of like feel to it,
Yeah.
as in they quickly tie off like everything in
Yeah.
very kind of loose terms kind of thing. I will say that the first two halves are absolutely fantastic. The first two thirds are really good. The third is kind of, yeah, it's a mess of a mingled things. I will say that throughout the film, the production value is really good. The graphics are really done. You were saying that it was light and magic, which is just very telling.
LM, yeah.
Yeah, which is like stop animation, really nice kind of costume design, character design, and ships and graphics and everything like that makes this a very charming film. Um, but so I really
Hmm.
liked it. I really enjoyed this film.
And are we forgetting the most important thing? A tiny cameo by Robert Picardo, who
Yeah,
is the glue that keeps all sci-fi going in the universe altogether. Robert Picardo, you should know by now we love you. Every
yes.
film that you've ever been in, we're going to end up covering on this channel.
If you would like to join us as we do that, it would be fantastic because we are big fans of the Doctor from Voyager and a lot of other characters that you have played. Just want to
Thinking of the
mention Voyager.
cowboy.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
Inner Space.
Yeah,
Actually, a little segue. Inner Space, the ship. If you've seen Inner Space but you haven't seen the Explorers, the little ship from Explorers was definitely that little Orby ball style ship was part of the inspiration for the Inner Space pod as well.
yeah, it's
Pod like ships became a thing.
yeah, it's very very 80s kind of design, which was nice. It kept with the theme. It kept with all the kind of
Yeah.
production design and everything. Yeah, so it was a great charming film. Why haven't I heard about this film, Patrick?
Why did it flop? So there's a big easy thing. There's a few parallels between it and why it flopped. Obviously, the film isn't good enough, but that's not what killed it in its opening weekend. It was released in the middle of 1985. A week before it, there was another film where somebody dreamt of a technology and then put it into place. After hitting their head on a toilet, I believe Doc Brown did it.
Yeah.
So the week before Explorers came out, Back to the Future came out.
Mm.
Again, Back to the Future
Yeah, no
is what
chance.
was in the cinema when this poor film came out. Realistically, though, what was probably even more damaging to its opening weekend is that it was released on the weekend of Live Aid, which, for anybody who's too young to remember, it's when it was the first international global concert in aid of anything, and it had every musical superstar of the time. It was just huge news. So this film did not stand a chance until the video store.
Yeah.
And it was an extremely popular VHS. Brilliant cover, great story. If you're watching this in a video, you're not going to mind the third act's a mess because you've already got value out of the first two parts of the movie.
Yeah, no, it's as I said, it's a very good. It's unfortunate because it feels like we were talking about it being Spielbergian, and it comes out in like a week after one of the most Spielbergian films ever. Um, it feels like yeah, if it feels that the studio and producers definitely saw what they did to this film, and we're just like just hide it under the rug kind of thing. For people who do not know what Live Aid is, as Patrick has said, you've definitely seen this in the film like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh
That
yeah,
that
yeah.
whole thing, that whole ending part, where the thousands of
Good
people
point.
outside away from a cinema, that's when they decided to put it out there. Just to put it in context.
Yeah, the world's
Because
biggest live telecast. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a
we
thing.
we had thousands of people at Wembley Stadium, then you had people around the world at other stadiums away from the cinema.
Yeah,
So that's where they decided to release it. Pretty much a kick like in
yeah.
the family jewels for this film. Um which is
I suppose. Well, go for it.
it's a pity. It's an absolute pity that that happened though. It is a charming film. You could definitely tell that there was more to us than what we got in the end kind of thing. I would have
Yeah.
loved to have seen which is Joe's final actual
And
film.
how great is it to you get to see Ethan, the start of Ethan Hawke, and you really can see he was a talented kid then, and River Phoenix. Yeah, the guy never turned in a bad performance. So it's cool. Now, Paul, we know why it flopped and why we haven't heard of it. Why? Let's tell the people before we go. Why should they see it then?
So the reason that you should definitely have a look at this film is it's a cute, charming film. It's very much reminiscent of an 80s Spielbergian film. So if you're looking for that charming optimism, like E.T. or Flight of the Navigators, this is probably your third choice to it. Which is you can definitely ignore the third, which is act of this film. It isn't as jarring as probably I let it out to be. I was probably kind of more into, I guess I had Flight in the Navigators definitely in my head while I was watching this film, and then it kind of went left outside kind of thing. But Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix, Jason Breslin are all very strong characters within this. They definitely bring you away in this journey. It's very lovely. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very 80s optimistic film. So can't say more than just go watch it, enjoy yourself, have fun.
Yeah, agreed.
So, which is with that, comment down below if you end up going to watch this film. Which is let us know in the comments also if there's any other rapid reviews that you would like us to watch. Let us know what you think about it, Explorers and everything. We do recommend watching Flying Navigators and ET around this film. It is very, very good. Which is, and thanks very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to get more of what we do. I've been
Lovely.
Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been Hear Us Out.
See you next time. Bye bye.